very beginning, I knew I wanted to homeschool my children. But of course, before that, formal education, you have to kind of figure out what your child likes, their strengths, their weaknesses, and things like that. So that's where child-led learning came in for us. In today's video, we're talking all about child-led learning and how I got introduced to the Montessori approach. Certain tasks and certain things that your child will want to do naturally because they watch you do it. And so for us, that was the case. And around the same time, I was also in college taking education courses that was centered around the learning approach. So we talked about learning methods, the learning styles. During that time, I was introduced to the Montessori approach. And at the time, you know, Eliana, she was almost 1 or so. And so I was like, these are things that I'm actually implementing anyway. So I always wanted to include her. I didn't want her to feel like, you know, she couldn't be involved. So even before she started walking, I would sit her on the counter when I was cooking, and I would have her mix things or touch things. And so as she got a little older, I started to purchase things that were her size. And if you know anything about Montessori, then you try to see the world from the lens of your child, meaning you get down on the floor and kind of see what they're able to see at their height. So that means you see the toy shelves with the toys that's low to the floor. You see the little bookshelves. You see the play kitchens. You see the taller size broom and stuff like that. So that's the whole Montessori concept, and I didn't know anything about it, but I was already implementing so many things that she talked about. And my biggest thing was following the lead of my child. Like, what are her interests? What are some things that she spent a lot of time doing or trying to do? And so this is why I absolutely love child-led learning, because your child is in charge. And as crazy as that may sound, it's very beneficial. It's highly recommended. So the first thing being, the learning is not pressured. So by it being child-led learning, your child is pretty much telling you the things that they're interested in. For instance, now my children are interested in the organs of the body, the organ systems, and how the body works. So Eliana, for instance, she asked, how does the heart work? So now I've purchased different books, sticker books, to kind of help guide them on their journey to learning more about the body. I've purchased a human body model. I've let them watch different shows that goes into the function of the human body. So this is what it looked like. Rely on your environment, because the way you set up their room or their learning environment pretty much tailors what they take in. Say for instance, I set up their room with posters. I have posters of the letters, the numbers, the colors. I also have a shelf for their toys. So open-ended toys like blocks, magnet tiles. I have toys where they have to kind of build certain things. These are things that you have to set into place. So even though your child is in charge of what they want to learn, you still set up your environment to expose your child to different things. And the difference between child-led learning and just trying to teach your child something because you think they're ready is, your child is going to let you know when they're ready for something. Opposed to Keziah, she learned her letters and sounds so fast, and she wasn't interested in the numbers. And she still really is not interested in numbers, but it's something that you don't push. I still have posters. I still count, you know, regularly throughout our house. When we're in the kitchen, I have her count out different cookies or chicken nuggets or whatever the case may be, to instill that love of math and early literacy. So although your child is in charge, you still can set up different skills that you use every day, and you can be that model so they can follow after you naturally. So say for instance, for me, I was never a bookworm, but because I want my children to develop the love of learning, I read more often. I read books a lot, whether they're paying attention or not. You know, I buy books every time we go to the store, we go to the library, and things like that. So although they're interested in dinosaurs or cars or I don't know, different community helpers, you still can set up your environment to introduce other things, and when they're ready for it, they definitely will tell you. By going pointing to it, they'll ask you what it is, you know, things like that. So the other beauty of child-led learning is deep and complex. So for a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old who wants to know about the heart, who wants to know about the function of the bodies, although, you know, those are things that we explore at, you know, upper ages, they would know more about that in depth because it's something they're interested in, as opposed to me telling them, okay, today we're going to talk about flowers, but they're not interested in flowers. They want to know about the body. So they would know way more and take in way more if you introduce that topic with other things that you're trying to teach them. Also helps them with the love of learning. So if your child is in control of what they learn, be so in tune to know more because it's something they're interested in. And that's what we want to establish before they go off to school. Before we start formal homeschool instruction, we want them to make sure they love learning, that it's fun for them. It's something they want to do. Allow them to ask you those questions and be a guide for them. Be a resource for them. Find out the answers even if you don't know. But this is how you set your child up to be a lifelong learner, to love the love of learning, and to set them up for success. Something that you will know about children that are child-led learners or have the ability to learn at their own pace is that they learn things more quickly than a lot of children their age. So for my children, I would say they are very big helpers in the kitchen, right? So they can cut things, they can fix things, they know the order in which I bake or cook, they know the supplies and things like that. So because that's something they're interested in, they see me do it all the time, they want to do it themselves, they have picked on to some things that other children are not able to do. Maybe because they're not interested in it, maybe because they're not exposed to it, or maybe it's just something they just don't care about. Do what you do with what you know they like. So that's all I'm saying. Your children aren't born naturally curious. They want to figure out what things do, why they do what they do. So even as infants, as a baby, when they start teething, you see that everything they touch and see, they want to put it to their mouths. They're exploring the texture, how it looks, what sound is made, when they start eating, what it tastes like. So our job to help them build up those skills that they need to succeed in whatever they may do later on in life. But the early exposure is key for child-led learning. It's also key for them being adventurous and just figuring out the world around them, as opposed to being blocked in with this curriculum that don't fit their learning style, a curriculum that does not touch on the things that they're truly interested in. This is what has helped us. Now, there is a book that I have. It's called The Montessori Toddler, and I will link that in the description. But basically, it kind of tells you how to set up your home for your child to flourish, for your child to thrive. So it tells you the different materials you will need, the setups. They have different pictures and different activities based on their age and development. And it kind of just gives you a guide on how to kind of create a nurturing environment for your children. So if you're interested in just learning more about that process, I would highly suggest you check out that book or watch different videos on Montessori. There's a rise now in Black Montessori, and I absolutely love it because we always include our children in certain things. So Montessori for me was second nature. Like, I didn't know that it was a certain thing called Montessori. I just wanted to share our learning journey, that I follow the interests of my children, but I still, expose them to different things. So if they're not ready for it, I pull back. If they are ready for it, we go in, and whatever they want to know, I tell them to the best of my ability. Whatever they want to learn, I show them how to do things, to the best of my ability. And it's really common for early elementary, pre-K, toddlers, preschool, kindergarten, when the child is developing their love of learning, when they're starting to read, starting to count, starting to do math, starting to explore, when they want to know why things are the way they are around them. That's where child-led learning comes into play. Now, as they get older, you may branch out and do something else. You may want more structure. You may want to be more of a guide to them, or kind of, expose them to different things. But from the very beginning, I highly suggest following the route of your child, looking at what they're interested in, and just putting in on the things that they're naturally good at. What are they naturally good at? Like, how do they learn the best? Follow their lead, and it makes teaching them so much easier. If this was helpful, leave me a comment below, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video as I go into our daily schedule even before we started homeschooling.